fourth upload this afternoon is with regard to fellowship issues and recovery. As I've said, I've been in recovery since 2006, and it has had its ups and downs like it does with every member. Um, so basically, I've mentioned imposter syndromes occurring, people perpetrating identity theft and spiritual theft and financial theft against me in Tralee, County Kerry, Ireland due to hate crime. These individuals have displayed nothing but juvenile behaviour, childhood tactics, playground tactics, etc., except at a dangerous level when it involves legal violations and children's rights violations and human rights violations, etc. So, as I've mentioned also, I've experienced marital desertion and defamation from that experience. As I also mentioned, I married in good faith, but there have, as I've said, been imposters since 2015 that have perpetrated this vendetta. So, for the members of the fellowship, I'm sharing just to touch base with the members of the fellowship that might be able to empathise with the circumstances that these individuals and guilty culprits have caused for me. So the recovery from this issue of marital desertion and betrayal and the defamation and individuals imposing and thieving and lying, etc., is all quite unfathomable for a light worker and a member of the fellowship. So from this experience, there's had to have been a lot of detoxing, a lot of decluttering, and a lot of baggage from a negative experience just disposed of. This has not only lightened the weight of the emotional toxicity that these kind of individuals cause in innocent people's lives, but also the physical burden of the load that people carry throughout their lives. So the emotional decluttering has been fantastic, and it hasn't been entirely fellowship recovery principles, but it has involved the you know issues of my position in this situation, my wrongdoings, my defects, my shortcomings, and checking my conscience in step 11 and whatnot. So, with a clean conscience after what has happened and being confronted with these kind of individuals with such a neurosis for their continuous defamation and whatnot, the experience hasn't been all bad. It has been enlightening that, some individuals just have no principles, and some people that you might have hope for are just hopeless to become any better than what they were before. So it's disappointing that these individuals that have no integrity and no credibility now after what's been happening have been completely cleansed from my personal experience. But as I've said, there are still the imposters and intruders still imposing and still causing problems. So this is a little bit of an insane situation. For a private person that has been experiencing harassment and that has experienced defamation and the assault of the constitutional rights that I'm entitled to as a law-abiding citizen, this is a pretty insane situation. So the emotional detox has involved, a lot of step 11, and these individuals that have violated my privacy and defamed with the most ignorant of claims and the most uneducated and unprofessional assumptions have added more insults to the injuries that I've already experienced that people are fully aware of from these uploads. So the issue that is of most importance is the detachment and discernment required in these kind of matters. Detachment from other people's idiotic and immature tactics of making false claims and intruding and imposing and trying to be what they're not, basically. Detachment from the culprits that are perpetrating financial abuse and injustice, and the detachment from other people's concepts of their superiority as they think, and the imposition of denigration for their own satisfaction to make a most embarrassing circumstance for a victim of their assaults. So the discernment in this situation is basically with regard to the rights and wrongs of this circumstance. I don't particularly feel comfortable uploading and sharing publicly. I'm not able to get to meetings as a victim. There have been people in this community that have lied about every interaction that they've had with me. This is the consequence of a vendetta that has been facilitated and financed by guilty culprits. So, unfortunately, meetings are impossible, but these uploads are a requirement due to the tactic of isolation and undermining the honesty and truth of this situation that they're not capable of, nor are they capable of portraying or understanding. So these individuals that try to disrespect an adult citizen professional, and that person being me, and my capabilities, my competencies, have been absolutely shameless in their attempts. As I've said, the assault has been spiritual, the assault has been financial, the assault has been legal and medical, and it's absolutely disgraceful. So this upload is for the fellowship, and just to let those know that anyone experiencing anything similar to this kind of outrageous violation of human rights and constitutional rights and spiritual assault and petty defamatory complaints and falsehoods. There's, a lot more to be said for emotional decluttering and detoxing from those kind of individuals. Sometimes it's better being on your own than being in bad company. And in this circumstance, that's how this is. The toxicity has been absolutely horrendous. The pollutants of, this circumstance have caused very serious harm. Simply because of their agendas and their inabilities. So, unfortunately, there has been this vendetta of hate crime and this vendetta of trying to undermine an honest individual, a law abiding citizen, etc., etc., etc. So, this is what I'm confronted with as a member of the fellowship and as a victim of spiritual violence and falsehoods and violations. So, there's a bit of a conundrum with regards to the significance of honesty and justice, which was also a part of my recovery since 2006, and my spiritual gifts and blessings that were also assaulted. So this is a bit of a crisis of conscience, I think, for authorities and politicians that have been aware of all the damages and harm done, and basically for members that are aware, I hope they know that step 11 is pretty difficult, and I hope they understand the reality of the situation without involving or implicating or compromising their position within the fellowship with regards to turning a blind eye and with regards to portraying falsehoods. So the emotional cleansing, the mental cleansing, the physical cleansing, the detox, the declutter, etc., etc., has all been positive. And as regards mental health professionals that have difficulties understanding the reality of this circumstance and think of abusing their positions, then I am very concerned for those individuals that actually need mental health services assistance. So for this upload, I hope everyone is able to mind their own business, live and let live, and keep their own side of the street